Hello and welcome to Mechanisms, ME401 501. I wanted to put together a little bit of welcome video to give you a sense of the course and get started off on the right foot. So, first off, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Here's what I look like. Nice hair, right? And here's some of my background so that I don't have to, or not have to, but so that I don't use as much time on the first day of class talking about myself. So my name is Edward Ted Deal. I prefer to be called Dr. Deal. Um, I'm a graduate of the United States Merchant Marine Academy, which is a military academy. It's a federal military academy like West Point, Annapolis, Coast Guard Academy, Air Force Academy. We're the fifth unknown academy. But I graduated in 1992 with an engineering degree in marine engineering systems. I worked right after school, after I graduated, but at night I got a master's degree in mechanical engineering from Rensselaer at Hartford. At the age 39, I went back to college, and although it took me 7 years, I was able to get a PhD in mechanical engineering at UConn. I'm a licensed professional engineer. I worked for 17 years, mostly for a small company named Seaworthy Systems. I also spent about 2 years at General Dynamics. Um, and I taught at the Coast Guard Academy, which is the hated rival of the Merchant Marine Academy. I taught there for 7 years while I was pursuing a PhD at UConn. So it was kind of interesting to be teaching as a sometimes part time, sometimes full time faculty member at the Coast Guard Academy while I was getting a PhD. Um, I left Coast Guard Academy in 2017 and started here at University of Hartford. I'm now an associate professor and the program director of mechanical engineering. During my professional experience, I rose to the level of a principal engineer, which is pretty much the highest level that you can get without being a manager. Um, I was the principal structural engineer, and that's kind of the direction I wanted my career to go. So I steered it that way and did structural design on a lot of different ships related things. But I also did a bunch of other things along the way, including some concept feasibility designs where you don't actually design the entire ship, but you kind of do this first pass design, whether the concept was actually, a practical type of thing. And I did a couple of those. It was pretty interesting because there's a lot of imagination going on into whether you can actually build a thing. I've also done the detailed design and design detailed modification design for several ships and systems. I've also designed systems, piping systems, mostly for auxiliary systems for the main engines, usually diesel engine related type of things, but also steam engines and some gas turbine auxiliaries. I've done some shipyard support where I design some of the structure specifically for this fast ferry, aluminum ferry that was being built in a makeshift shipyard in New London in the early, or I guess actually in the mid and late 90s. That was really cool because I would design, they would have a problem that they had created for themselves, and then I would design something as a workaround for their problem, and then they would build it, and I would come down and take a look at it. So it was a very kind of, it was some of my first design where I looked at a problem and I came up with a solution, and then I actually got to see the thing that I had made on paper exist in real life. And there was a lot of learning that went in as part of that, which is to say that I messed some things up, but I got to learn from them. I've also done things, sometimes problem jobs would come up on the side from what my main thing was, and vibration testing was also part of that. So I went on a lot of ships that would have vibration problems and help diagnose what they are and then come up with a proposed solution. I did a lot of thermodynamics things earlier in my career. I prefer the structural stuff as opposed to the steam and the diesel and the gas turbine plants. But we would go on board ships and do all kinds of tests and that type of thing, and grab numbers and then do the thermo and see what the efficiency was or the comparison between what we the expected efficiency what the actual one was, and that was pretty neat. I also did energy conservation testing on board Navy ships, where we would ride the ships for a while and create up with different speed power curves and speed fuel curves, and we would adjust different parameters and tune things and try to see where we could save fuel and quantify how much fuel we could save by making those adjustments. We also did just general consulting things where a customer would come to us with some type of problem and I wouldn't know how to do it. I'd have to teach myself how to do like so for different like emissions reductions on ships before some of the regulations came into play. Companies would approach us, especially Arco Marine, asked us to look at all the different emissions reduction technologies that were available and see which ones were applicable to their ships, and then forecast how much it would cost and how much reduction they might be able to get, kind of stuff like that. Very interesting things. Really made me into a jack of all trades. So just pictures of some things I've designed. Here's the main ship that I did the most amount of, like very beginning of concept to end result drawings that got sent to the shipyard. It was the New York Department of Environmental Protection sludge ship that they needed to replace some barges that they were using. They wanted an actual ship, so we put together a bunch of features that are rarely put together, and that made it extra challenging because this wasn't just a standard ship. It had these slope bottoms and these corrugated bulkheads and various other things that made this a difficult job to do. But I was the principal structural engineer on this, and every piece of steel was mine. Here it is in the shipyard being built. Every single drawing that was delivered to the customer, that was my drawing, except for ones that I allowed or I had my junior engineers do a little bit of work on, but these were all my designs. I modified some ships, especially for Military Sealift Command. Here is the USNS Doll. We did several of these ships, but there's just one. In this case, I added an extension onto the house, which enabled an additional number of Marines to be able to live on board in terms of this pre-positioning ship. And once again, I did all of the not only the structural design but also the other auxiliary things that people need. Like we increased the water making capacity, the sewage capacity, the HVAC systems, the electrical capacity, all those necessary things. So it was a pretty good project. Here's a kind of a small one. This is the USNS Mercy and Comfort. These are hospital ships, and I did a job to replace the generators, a generator on board. They had this old generator they didn't use much. It was installed poorly, so it was a more complicated thing than just swapping out a generator. But it was an interesting project. It's just these are just examples. I did a lot more things on this. Here's one for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. They would get hand-me-down ships from the Navy, and then they would modify them. So we did a bunch of modifications for them, including replacing some of the masts because they did a lot more electronic stuff up above. I think this was actually a vibration problem that they were having. No, they wanted to add another piece of equipment, but they also had a vibration problem. So I redesigned and stiffened up the mast, did some analysis to try to diagnose why they were having these problems. But that's the kind of thing that I would do. In-house at our company, I see where we had a sub company that did a more fuel conditioning systems. It's called FCS, fuel conditioning systems, and one would be to mix fuel and water together in an emulsion to reduce some emissions. There's various other things to reduce emissions, but this is one of them. And although I didn't design the system, I did all the SolidWorks to build all of these things. So I'm a SolidWorks and AutoCAD guy. Some stuff about me in the real world. I'm married to my best friend. We married in 1992, right after we went to college. This is us in college together. Here's us getting married in December 1992. We've been married for 32 years. We have two kids, John and Andrea. John graduated from UHeart in 2022. Andrea graduated, 2020. Andrea graduated, is that true? Let me think. No, he graduated 2022. Andrea just graduated this year. Yeah, John's 24 and Andrea is 22. Here's some pictures, more pictures of Andrea. We have an insane dog named Layla. She's the sweetest golden doodle who happens to be black and gray. So she's Merle. We've lived in Connecticut for almost 33 years, going on there. I'm pretty crazy about guitars. I've been in a bunch of bands. This is the most recent one, but I'm not in it anymore. I decided to dissolve it. I really love golf. I need to start playing again. I'm crazy about Mustangs. I don't own one though, and I love the band Van Halen and the football team, the Buffalo Bills. So I'm really excited this year that we are doing well, and hopefully we'll go to the Super Bowl. There's some more pictures of Layla. In this picture right here, she's not approving of how I'm walking her because usually my wife Lori does most of the walking of Layla, but Layla's looking and saying I'm doing it wrong. Here's some of my guitars. I love black guitars, especially fond of Gibsons, and I have a bunch of Van Halen guitars. I think these are all of them. I think there's one back here hiding right there. That's a weird one. There's a Van Halen guitar and one here. So how many I have? One, two, three, four. There's 5 Van Halen guitars. I have more guitars than this, by the way. This just happens to be a picture. So let's talk about the course. All right, so how much time have I wasted talking about myself? Oh, 12 minutes. Okay. So mechanisms, this is silly. I'm getting the definition of mechanisms. The most important thing is that we're making linkages, or the way to think of it is we're making linkages. But we're trying to find a way to make a prescribed motion. And from so usually a lot of times we'll make the motion. We'll know the motion, and then we'll want to have a machine that does that type of thing. And we want to design the mechanism. We often will call that synthesis. This is supposed to be funny, so there you go. What is it about? Okay, so here is an example. Let's say that we want to pour a beer, and we want to pour a beer in a particular way. So we'll make a video or take some stills of making the beer, and then we'll trace them out, and then we'll see what kind of motion is necessary, and then we'll make a mechanism out of it right there that will make that. All right, so you can see that we will capture now maybe not perfectly, but we'll have like maybe some stills of what that looks like, and we will try to capture that motion. So there you go, right there. Pour the beer. Here's the book. Actually, there's a 6th edition. I've been using the 5th edition almost exclusively myself. I believe the 4th will be okay. I don't know for sure the 3rd, but I do know that the 2nd edition, it has mistakes in it. I found a copy of it, and it's not all that great. So I would aim for the 5th edition, get the 6th edition if you want to. So we have 2 majors here. I mean, 2 classes, 401 and 501. There's some differences. Mostly they're the same. I'll be pointing them out. If you're a graduate student, you want to take 501. If you're undergrad, you have the choice of taking 401, no problem, or upgrading and taking 501 for perhaps getting graduate credit. I think there's a limit to how many classes you could take as an undergraduate to get graduate credit, but I don't know for that for sure right now. But you want to look into that. The biggest difference is that in 500, I'm going to expect more out of you. Specifically, a journal style paper is the most significant difference. And I will coach you and tell you some more about the things. Some of the homework will will contribute to that paper. I don't know if I say some additional parts of the homework questions. I don't think I've ever followed through with that. But you might get different questions on exams. You also might, and you're going to be held to a higher standard on projects, but you might also be able to get out of the final exam. Right now, a lot of years I have not had a final exam, but we're going to just go ahead and plan for 401 students to be taking a final exam, whereas 501 will be having this paper that will be graded with a pretty high level because we want this to be a graduate level experience. If you made a B in dynamics, right, or you didn't make a B in dynamics, I don't think you should be taking 501. Okay, because you should not make a C in a graduate course. We generally speaking, um, you must have a B in a graduate level course in order it to count. So keep that in mind. You're totally welcome to switch between the 501 and the 401 if you want to, but do that in the first 2 weeks of class. I don't know if this. Let me see. I'm looking at this. No, this grading scheme. This is out of date. So let's look at our actual schedule. Let's take a look at Blackboard so you can become a little bit more familiar with it. Okay, so that was last year, I think. No, right here. Okay, so I don't show it as open, but I'll be opening it soon. So make sure that you explore getting started here. I will be placing this video right here into the welcome so that you're probably watching that if you're that's what this video is right here, right? So I'm getting this video, I'm getting rid of that video, and I'm as a little note to myself to replace the video. Here's my information. If you want to meet with me, we could go to my Microsoft Teams virtual office hours from this link. I will have my office hours are Mondays and Wednesdays 2 to 4:30. I show 2:05 because we often will have Mondays and Wednesdays will be meeting times, and those end at 2, so I need a little bit of time to get back to my office. Sometimes I will send out an email and say that I'm just not going to drive to Hartford because my classes are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I might spend Mondays and Wednesdays up at home, which is in Westbrook. I have my schedule right here. So if you want to see where I am at a given time and maybe see where I might be available, maybe. But send me an email if you want to meet at times other than my office hours. Here is the syllabus. It's subject to change, so be on the lookout for that. Read through this. You can see that I have this as 2 exams. I might have a final exam for ME401. But I want the 501 people working the last couple of weeks of classes to finishing up their papers and making them a paper that is suitable for a graduate student. Here is the rough sequence of events. I have a more detailed schedule down here below so you can see what the expectations are. I've listed these as modules on the left, class numbers here, and then the days as that are encompassing them. So keep on top of this. I'm going to do my best to keep to the schedule, but I can't say for sure. We have planned exam 1 and exam 2 placed right there. Other things, I want engineering papers, so you want to make sure that you're using engineering paper for your submitted assignments. They'll be scanned and uploaded. Use a good scanning app that makes it nice and clear, be very neat. I've listed out my course outcomes. Let's see, did I already talked about this right here? Course outcomes. Yeah, so those are needed, right? Here's the engineering paper. You could buy it at the bookstore. I think it's fairly cheap, like $10. It's like 200 sheets, which is actually a pretty good deal, better than you will find even on Amazon. most of the time. You might be able to find it cheaper, but I don't think so. But it looks like this. It's green, right? Don't write on the back of it. It's only meant to be written on the front. When you scan it, all those grids go away. The scan should be very neat and be cropped. I don't want to see your thumb. It needs to be professional. I want to see professional work. Annotate. You could think of you could think of what we're doing here is documenting our work and communicating what we've done. We're going to do it in a way that would be looked upon as any engineering professional as being a professional looking document. Imagine being a real engineer, something terrible happens, and you go on the witness stand to defend in a lawsuit. Let's say some people died, and you're on the witness stand defending your work. They will look and project up your work onto an overhead projector or onto a big TV, and everyone will be looking at your work. You must defend your work. You must look professional. When should you start practicing that type of behavior? Right now. So that is what we're doing, and that is the standard to which you will be held accountable. I want to be serious that you are a real engineer, and I want you to act as such. All right. Other things to know about in this course. There's a lot of content. I've broken them into modules because of Blackboard Ultra. I should mention that I modified this class for last semester, and every fall semester moving forward, it is an online class where people are doing this asynchronously. I've kept a lot of that content, but we're doing this as in person. So we're going to go at the pace that the class goes instead of the self-study pace. I have my module 1 contains, let's say, I think it is to itself. Let's go to student view so you can see what what the view is going to be. I'll be posting up the homework soon. We'll see. Okay, so all you have in that is this one right here is module class 1. I have what the student outcomes are going to be. I have videos for most of the topics. I might be adding some more. I take requests. So if you feel that you need something more, I will add it to there. I'll show you a for instance right here coming up. Okay, so this is one of the more important things. I have notes, and every single class I have these printable notes that you can print out before class and then write upon. I do not post my notes, but I do have videos, so you don't need my handwritten chicken scratch. What you need is to look at the videos and to attend class and to ask questions. You don't attend class, you don't ask questions, I'm going to start, if I find that happens too much, I'm going to start giving quizzes during class. It'll be easy quizzes, but you will get a bad grade. You'll get a 0 on them because you weren't there. It is an interactive class, so I expect you to be coming to class and asking questions and doing work together. Let's see what else. I also have Bob Norton. Norton is the book. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. You don't have to buy the version of the book that comes with software. He'll mention it in here. He was doing this for a long time, so some of these videos are quite old, but they still have useful content in there, so I posted all of them. If I were to get out of the student mode, and I will, here is a homework help that I put in. So this is an example right here. I'll make that visible. You can see that I have made a help. Oh no, that was homework. That's the solution. Whoops. I'll undo that. I meant it was up here, right? Okay, yeah, it was up here. Clicked on the wrong thing. Here is a helping video that comes up. By request, here is a demonstration. So you can, so if you have something along those lines and you're struggling with something, I might instead I might make a video recognizing that I have left a gap or something that into your the content that I provided. So I think I've made this video longer than you might want, but at 25 minutes. But I think it will be helpful for you to go through. All right, so let's see what other things you made. Oh, you might want a good compass. That would be also a thing that you should want to think. I often will give out a ruler. I'll see if I can give out the rulers this year. I'm not sure. I can't tell you that for sure because I have to look at my stockpile, and I have a lot of students. I have 20 students in dynamics, 23 students in ME470, and I think there's something like 12 or more, 13 in this class. That adds up to a lot of students. This is a pretty cool class. It could be a lot of fun. We're going to 3D print some things. So make sure there's 3D printers available in the Hersey Center so that you could work with them and do that. I will provide some bolts and some motors and that type of thing for our project. That the project is due, or a version of the project is due during the midway point of the semester, or at least it gets right in there. So we won't wait to the end to do it, but that'll be like the focal point of the class. If you don't have a 3D printer, I suggest you consider getting one. They're getting cheaper and cheaper. This is the dog, by the way. You can see her right there. They're getting cheaper and cheaper and better each time. I use a Creality. The Ender 3 has become very common for people to get a Creality Ender 3 right there. So you go to Creality, and you can get it from Amazon, or you can go to the official store here at Creality. And there's right there is the Ender 3, but they've now $185, and that's way better than the previous Ender 3s that I've purchased. I've had an Ender 5. I have an Ender 5, but I've been keeping an Ender 3 in my office. I might buy another one. I was thinking about getting one of these, the K1, right there. It's got like an enclosure around it. They're much quieter, but you might want to consider getting one. You might want to consider, you could maybe go in with a roommate or some people together. Some of them are quite fast now. That's much nicer, but you might need to get, so I would suggest you consider getting a 3D printer of your own if you don't already have one or have access to one, as opposed to using the down in the makerspace at the Hersey Center, because a lot of times freshmen and sophomores dominate those with their projects. But once again, you don't have to. It's just a suggestion that I would make for you. So I hope that you'll enjoy this class and find it interesting and useful and a little bit fun. So see you soon.